Welcome back to Clarion Connection. I'm Ron Wilshire talking with Bill Rupert today from the Northwest Planning Commission about the energy program he operates. And the Northwest Planning Commission, as we discussed before the break, serves about 8 counties in northwestern Pennsylvania. But we're going to talk about what it's doing for Clarion County today. And I understand you have a few programs coming up.
We are partnering with the Clarion County Economic Development Corporation. On September 14th and 15th, there will be an energy expo at the Clarion Mall. It'll start out with CCEDC's normal eggs and answers breakfast, and then it will segue into the energy expo at the mall. But that should be a great event. You're going to have all kinds of people there with energy-related products and services. It's open to everybody to go in there. If you have a business, municipality, a homeowner, whatever it is, it's worth it'll be worth checking out. I know specifically there's going to be some compressed natural gas vehicle providers and converters there. You can go ask questions about those. I think moving forward, especially with the natural gas situation here in western Pennsylvania, I think you'll see the future moving towards CNG. So you can get a lot of answers there. I know we're going to have a solar company who does solar and wind energy, so anybody that's looking into a project like that can speak to those folks. Should be a great 2 days.
And this is at the Clarion Mall?
At the Clarion Mall, correct.
So you can do some shopping and shopping for energy.
Absolutely.
So that'll energize some people. Do you work much with the economic development?
We do a bit of work with different economic development corporations. You try to work smart. You find different partners throughout the region where you can help each other out. Putting together things like this. So I know Clarion County is they approached us to do this, and we're happy to partner. We've done other programs with them in the past. Partnered on various workshops. We did one last year on combined heat and power, which it was a success for us. That's geared more toward larger institutions like schools and hospitals, where you can actually capture your waste heat and convert that back into energy. So that's another element that's out there for some for a larger facility to take advantage of.
Do you have any other partnerships out there planned?
Planned at this point? Off the top of my head, I can't think of anything that's planned. I mean, they kind of happen consistently, and you'll put on a workshop, you'll do an event, and then you move on to the next one, and you assemble the right group.
If someone's interested in obtaining your services, how's the best way to contact?
Best way would be to contact the commission. Best way to get me typically is through my email, which is just williamr@nwcommission.org. That's the best way to get me. You can call the commission and get a hold of me that way as well. But it's not difficult. So anybody that would have a project, by all means, get in touch with us.
Even though the main headquarters for the commission is in Franklin, I believe.
Oil City.
Same thing, when you're in Clarion County. No, sorry, all you people in Venango County. But I noticed you did open an office in Clarion.
We do have a Clarion branch that I typically work out of. A little bit closer to home for me, which is nice. But I have an office in Oil City as well. I work out of both locations. We also have a facility in Erie and Mercer County as well.
Now, the Northwest Commission has representatives from all the member counties, but I see that you also have an energy advisory council that gives you advice.
Absolutely. We meet quarterly, and they're great meetings. I'll talk about what we're doing. I'll float ideas, and I solicit feedback and other ideas. So, we basically get in a room for a few hours and talk about hot topics, current issues. How could the program better serve the area? Things of that nature. And then we'll frequently bring in. We've been doing some talking about partners. We'll bring in various people who may be able to help forward the program. bring those potential partners in, let them present to the group, and then we can, when they leave, we can talk about them and decide, does this make sense to move forward with this, and things of that nature. So great group of people in the Energy Advisory Council. They've been invaluable in informing and directing the program as it's moved forward.
A lot of diversity of companies that they come from.
Absolutely.
I noticed there's Vantage Healthcare, PennTap, Commonwealth Community Energy Project, National Fuel, Central Electric, Oil Region Alliance, Department of Environmental Protection, NWIRC. What is that?
The Northwest IRC. That's
information referral type thing.
Yeah, they're another organization in Northwest Pennsylvania.
Okay.
Economic development.
There's Lawrence County Planning Commission, Clarion University, Warren County Commissioner itself, PennTap, and Premier Power Solutions.
It's a great cross-section of folks that all have a vested interest in energy conservation in the area.
I mean, energy's on the tip of everybody's tongues, and worried about cost and what types of supply are coming, and a big boom in the area that could take place with Marcellus and the CNG thing. You mentioned that earlier at the the expo, and just this morning coming here listening to C93 on the radio, there was an ad for someone that does the conversions for your vehicles, and then I think there was an article a few weeks ago about the first sort of gas stations that you could fill up in the area. So that's very much
it's very
future.
promising. It's I'm looking forward to seeing how that plays out as we move forward. Because that's been one of the issues with compressed natural gas is people weren't getting the vehicles because there's nowhere to fill them up. Who wants to build the fill-up station when nobody's driving the vehicles? So it was a chicken and egg type of dynamic there. But now it looks like there's some synergies where they're going to be going on simultaneously. So something to watch out for as we move forward. I think it's going to be interesting.
Well, it might be especially attractive for governmental agencies that might have a fleet of cars or vehicles.
Fleet conversions are, I think, going to be one of the first adopters of this. Yeah.
Yeah, so they could save considerable amount of
Absolutely.
Now, energy, I noticed lately there's quite a bit of discussion, if you will, about coal.
Yeah, I don't want to touch that.
But sometimes people talk about clean energy and mention electricity, but the dirty secret is that it's not that clean of an energy because you have to get the electric some way.
It really depends on how it's being generated. Yeah, obviously, everybody knows the issues of coal, but as natural gas, as we start to tap into these resources, I think you're going to see more of that converted to natural gas. Obviously, there's hydropower, so electricity in this region, I still feel is a fairly clean energy compared to.
Mm-hmm. A little different options. Anything? Any views on the alternative energy? I noticed maybe a little bit of a misnomer, but the Energy Expo is actually an alternative energy expo.
Yeah, now alternative energy would typically be considered, hydro, geothermal, wind, that type of stuff. And there will be some representatives there for those. But that's your typical biofuels, that type of stuff is your typical alternative energy. They're all worthwhile looking into, depending on the size, scope of your use and your operations. Wind tends not to be it's probably the least viable in this region. I think a lot of people don't understand the intricacies of wind power. You need an average speed that we really don't see in many areas around here. Pennsylvania tests out very poorly in most regions for wind power. But it is viable in certain areas. But solar is actually much more viable than a lot of people think. They're like, well, Pennsylvania only has 150 or so days of sunshine a year. Solar operates off of UV rays, so anybody that's ever gotten a sunburn on an overcast day knows about that. The UV rays that actually get through the clouds. So are you going to get as much generation as you would in Arizona? No, but it's still going to be effective year-round.
Right. So But is there much individually that people can do, like with solar?
You can. Now I don't. I don't work with homeowners, so I know there's programs out there. I know there's things you can do. There's solar hot water heaters. There's things you can do with solar, and by all means, I encourage people to look into that. Look at the cost, look at what your savings are, and determine if it's right for you. We do have some. I know up in Corey, we have a solar project going on for an industrial park, so it can definitely make sense for the right client, and certainly worth looking into.
What would you say is the most challenging part of your job when you look at all the energy options that are out there and trying to still steer people in the right direction?
One of the biggest challenges is trying to explain the long-term benefits. A lot of people will see an upfront cost that looks prohibitive and not want to take on a project, when in actuality they might have that paid off in a couple years, and then they're going to be saving in perpetuity moving forward. So the biggest challenge is getting people to actually take action once they're armed with the information. As I'd mentioned earlier in the show, funding is not what it was even a few years ago. A lot of the funding pools have dried up. So it can be tough to spur people into action when they know that they most likely won't have this funded without taking out a loan or putting up their own capital to do that, even when it makes sense. So it's just getting that mindset of long-term savings versus the short-term costs.
Right. So it's in the long run, it's a good business decision whenever you reach these efficiencies.
No-brainer business decision, but a lot of people don't want to tie up that capital or get involved in a loan. So, and there are options out there. There are still a bit of funds. People can take advantage of performance contracting, whereby somebody will come in and do the upgrades, and they're paid for out of the savings then. So actually is no upfront costs. That's a great thing to look into for larger organizations. Performance contractors typically don't want to take on smaller projects, so that's really not an option for the little guy, but for larger facilities, by all means, something they should be looking into.
Sort of like Edgar Snyder, no charges up front.
Unless we get money for you. You got it.
Well, and some of them do operate that they guarantee so much savings in their future utility bills.
And that's when you enter into the contract, that's the idea. You are guaranteed a certain level of savings. If you don't reach that, you're not on the hook to pay them. Based on that, you have everything set out up front, so you know what you're going to be paying them out of your savings. If you don't reach that savings, you don't need to pay out of your pocket to meet those obligations. So definitely something worth looking into for the right client.
Right. Once again, the Alternative Energy Expo that you're playing at the Clarion Mall. You want to go over that before we close up shop here?
Well, the Clarion Mall one is September 14th and 15th. It's going to go on all day, both days, so I encourage people to go to that. And then there was also the Penn Power workshop, which I encourage people to go to over in West Middlesex at the Park Inn, and that one was September 20th from 8 to 1. And then I had mentioned with the Clarion Courthouse that was being sponsored by West Penn Power Sustainable Energy Fund. I would also encourage people to check out their website, which is just www.wppsef.org. And there's different energy conservation grants and loans to municipalities and businesses there that next round of funding will be coming out in September for that. So I encourage people to go there, check out that program as well. Clarion County is on board with it, and other municipalities or businesses could jump on board moving forward.
Bill Rupert from the Northwest Planning Commission, thanks for joining us on Clarion Connection.